Snetterton is a famous British racetrack used by various different motorsport championships such as the British Superbikes and the British GT. Today we are going to take a look at the history of the track from the beginnings until today. Snetterton opened in 1943 as Royal Air Force Snetterton Heath. So yes, as most of the older circuits in the UK, it was an airfield. It was home for the US Army Air Force's 96 bomb group and its fleet of B-17 flying fortresses. After the war, the Americans stayed here for a few more months, flying food aid to the Netherlands. After they left, the Royal Air Force used the airfield for another 3 years before they abandoned it in 1948. In 1955, two local car enthusiasts Oliver Sear and Dudley Corman persuaded the landowner Fred Riches to allow motor racing on the site. Riches, who was the local churchwarden, allowed racing, but no practice or race could happen on Sundays between 10:45 AM and noon, and everything should come to a halt in time for evensong. And this is how the first version of the Snetterton Circuit was born. It was a 4.4 kilometers or 2.7 mile long circuit which used the perimeter roads and one of the runways of the airfield. The track's jewel was the 1 mile long Norwich Straight, which ended in the Norwich Hairpin. The outline of the course was marked by sand-filled oil drums. There were only very basic facilities, and you could only enter the track when the racing stopped, as there was no bridge to cross the track. Turn 1 and 2 had the name of the two founders of the track, as Turn 1 was named Riches and Turn 2 was named Sear. As cars were getting faster and faster, speed became a worry out of the paddock band, so in 1965 they built a chicane before the start-finish straight. That chicane was named after Jim Russell, who had established the world's very first driver school at the track in the late 1950s. Drivers said the new corner was too narrow and motorcycle racers found it nearly impossible to take the chicane, so they modified it in 1967. The new corner was much quicker, nearly flat out, which saw you hit the pit lane wall if you got it wrong. Well, a lot of people did. At that time, new facilities were built around the course and the new bridge helped the staff to cross the track mid-race. For the next 10 years, Snetterton was the temple to high speed in the UK, and despite that, it was relatively safe. Mainly because if you got off the track, there wasn't really anything to hit. There was grassy areas around the track, and the old service roads provided a lot of runoff areas. By the mid-70s, there was plans to shorten the track because it was much cheaper to maintain and run a shorter track. In 1974, the new version of the track was done. Ahead of the original Sear corner, they turned right onto the west-east runway and rejoined at the S's. This section had problems as cars enter this left-right section at a very high speed, and if they lose the car, they crash right into the Bailey Bridge. After huge crashes and the death of Formula Ford racer John Thorne, they redesigned the S's to make it more safe. After it was built, the surface of the new S's started breaking up, so they created a temporary chicane for the F5000 cars to use the original S's. By the start of the next year, they repaired the surface and they started to use the new corner layout. The longer layout was also used for a few more years for testing before they finally abandoned it in 1980. Since that, it is a famous Sunday market for the locals. The shorter layout was so popular in Britain that it gave home to the first 24-hour race in the UK, the Will Hire 24-hour. The first race was in 1980 and it was won by an Opel Commodore. The race was for production cars and they kept organizing the event until 1994. In 1990, the Russell band was changed to Russell Chicane, but history repeats itself and it was found too tight and they eased the corner again. This type of corner was the closest version of this corner to the current one. In 2003, the Citroen C2Vs 24-hour race moved to Snetterton. The track was home for the race for another 10 years until 2013. The race returned to Snetterton in 2017 and stayed here since that. In 2004, former F2 champion Jonathan Palmer's Motorsport Vision Group purchased the track. The new management built new spectator banks and pit and paddock facilities. They wanted to bring bigger international series to Snetterton. The most radical changes were made to the track in 2011 when a new 1 mile infield section was built. Turn 2 got redesigned and renamed to Montreal because it was inspired by the hairpin in the Montreal Formula 1 course. The Russell chicane was changed to a new right-hander called Murray's. The full course is called the Snetterton 300 because it is 3 miles long. The Snetterton 200 layout contains the original track, and the Snetterton 100 is only the new infield section. The track gained an FIA Grade 2 license, and MSV is hoping to attract international racing back to Snetterton. Currently, it is an important part of most British racing series. The BTCC, British Superbikes, British GT and F3 also race here.